at the top, I guess it's almost like done and dusted, Avondale. Although mathematically South Melbourne still can get there. Avondale have got a really good chance as far as the minor premiership. But down the other end of the competition standings, geez, I tell you what, this weekend is going to be an absolute match of the century. North Geelong travel to Churchill Reserve to take on sister club St Albans, who are on the same amount of, they could have been on the same amount of points if North Geelong had managed to defeat a 10-man Heidelberg United yesterday. But as far as 0-0 draws go, this was very, very tense, very entertaining, and I dare say there was very nerve-wracking for a lot of people, but none more so than our next guest, TOMI GAVRAN, who's the coach of North Geelong Warriors. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome back Tom to the Football Hour show. Tom, how are you doing? And you're feeling a little bit worse for wear. How much did yesterday's game sort of have an effect on your health today?
Good evening, fellas. Thanks for having me. As you know, I'm pretty animated on the sidelines and took up a few kilometres pacing up and down, and it was pretty vocal yesterday. So pulled up a little bit worse for the morning, but I'll soldier on just like the club is.
Yeah. And Tommy, what was your approach going into the game against Heidelberg? Obviously, their position in the league isn't as impressive as it might be, but they were able to get a 1-1 draw against the league leaders last week. You would have had to take them as a very serious threat as coming down to Elko Park yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. I obviously did a bit of analysis on Heidelberg and watched a few clips leading into the game yesterday. They're a good side. They picked up a couple of good players during the transfer window as well. They're probably a better side than what the table suggests at the moment. But I suppose going into yesterday's game, there wasn't going to be any real surprises. They played sort of a straight-out 4-3-3 and, don't have any kind of, confusing rotations. I mean, we played the Knights and Dandy Thunder the previous 2 weeks, and, they have their inverted fullbacks that come inside and cause a little bit of an overload in midfield. But Heidelberg's a bit more of a standard sort of, formation and, rely on their sort of individual players that they've got. So I went into yesterday's game full of confidence that, that we can actually break their first line and get our sixers on the ball as much as possible and try and use our pace out wide as well. So, we went into the game really confident yesterday on the back of, the Dandy Thunder game aside, I think we've had a really good block of about 6 weeks. In the last 5 or 6 weeks, we've had a really good block with some positive results, and even in some of our losses, where we kind of played, particularly against Gully. I thought we were the better team against Gully, and Knights sort of was a game with 2 halves where they had the better of us in the first half, and we played really well in the second half. But so we've got full of confidence. We're full of confidence at the moment that we can beat anyone that sort of presents to us on the day, and as a minimum, be competitive at least.
Yeah, Tom, look, you went into the game obviously with a lot of changes, forced changes, particularly across the back line. No Matthew Stosic, fullback, no Anthony Barnavart, centre back as well. Had to reshuffle the team a little bit. Defensively, though, the team did seem to do quite well. It absorbed a lot of pressure, but it was more so the attacking foray starting from the defence that kind of particularly up the flanks. Was that sort of something that you spoke about leading up to the game, that tactically you had to change things around as well as personnel?
Yeah, it was good. It was exciting yesterday because it was a completely different lineup yesterday. And as you said, it was a couple of forced changes, but then I also made a couple of changes myself to sort of bring a bit of, I guess, renewed energy after a 6-0 loss the week before. And there's a couple of new boys that were brought into the squad as well that were, chomping at the bit to get an opportunity. And, they came into the lineup yesterday and showed their worth as well. So, and I even changed positionally a couple of players. I pushed, Charlie Fleming, an Irish visa player, up a bit higher up the park as a winger yesterday, and brought Nelson Songo back into the lineup as a fullback, and I thought he did well. Gave debuts to Jacob Silverine, who Chris Creechan will know because we came over from Eastern Lions, and also gave a debut to Cameron Cherry, who was ex-Werribee City. And they held their own definitely, had a really good game, and had sort of Lockie Mack on sort of one wing with pace, and went with Kai Williams up top. And he's not a natural number 9, but gives us a bit of pace and sort of height as well as a bit of strength for a youngster. He's sort of reminds me of a young Matthew Leckie. So I mixed it up a little bit yesterday. Obviously put Nicola down back again in the absence of Banavats. And we did well. I thought we were fairly solid yesterday. We're lucky to not, concede early from a set piece again, which would have really, impacted us mentally. But once we got over that kind of first chance, I put into the game and controlled most of it. And it was sort of unlucky as well as lucky at times. But as you saw, in the second half, we had a couple of really good chances to seal the victory. So it was disappointing not to get three points, but we'll take that into next week and hopefully put on the same performance against St Albans.
And Charlie Fleming, you mentioned there, he hit the woodwork, hit the crossbar in injury time from the set piece. You would have been ready to jump for joy had that one gone in, no doubt. But yeah, what has he brought to your team as a visa player? And geez, you would have been planning a big celebration if that one had gone in.
Oh, mate, I fell to the ground, to be honest, and I ended up on my back. So I was, in disbelief. He couldn't have hit it any better. He probably hit it too well, and it was probably a metre too close to the goals because it was just outside the box, and it was debatable whether it was a penalty or not either, the handball. But yeah, he couldn't have hit it any sweeter. It was as pigeon as it gets. And then obviously had a late chance with, Luke Zivcic, soon after that as well, and my sort of late substitutes who, got on the end of the cross as well. But yeah, I suppose back to your question, Charlie's been really good for us. It's the first sort of, he's new to the NPL. He's only just come over from Ireland. He played in the Premier League over there and managed to get him in through one of his agents. So yeah, he's been really good for us. A natural athlete. He's got good fitness, good pace. Good work rate. He's probably the best crosser of the ball in our team as well. So that's why one of the reasons I pushed him up the park a little bit higher. I pushed him up the park yesterday, and he's a bit of a character too, and very passionate. I've got him on side, and really rate him highly.
Yeah. Now, Tom, 2 players are obviously that are not going to be there in the game against St Albans. Hamish Flavel, who was substituted. We'll talk about that. But after the game, there was a bit of a melee, and I believe Nikola Jurkovic got a red card. Is that right? Because there was a red card brandished and to a North Geelong player. Is that right?
So with Hamish, it's not definitely, or it's not a definite that he's out. He did come off yesterday. But
was it the knee or what was it?
He got collided into and impacted his knee, sort of jarred it a little bit, and he couldn't feel it. He reckons it went all numb, hence why we had to stretch him off and had it bandaged up post game. But said that he had a bit of feeling back in it, and hopefully it's nothing structural. But young Seth Suka did quite well when he came on as well. I thought he commanded the box quite well and was quite vocal as well. So if if Hamish doesn't pull through, then we've got an able replacement definitely in that respect. And
how old is young Seth? Young Scooter? Is he still a teenager?
No, he's not a teenager. I think he's about 20. I think 21.
Yeah. No, he did very well when he came on because I think he was a bit surprised that he had to come on. But look, there was quite a bit of concern because at one stage Hamish was lying prone on the floor, and it's always that concern that how serious is it? And when kind of I think it was the referee or the player said, "Yeah, stretcher, bring the stretcher out," it was like, okay, this is quite serious. But it's good to hear that. He may be back next week, but obviously it depends on what happens this week.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, hopefully good news for Hamish, and he's a clubman. He's part of the leadership team as well, so he's the ultimate professional, Hamish. So whether he's playing or not, I'm sure he'll rally the troops and try and be a positive influence throughout the week.
Yeah, and Nikola Jurkovic, he got the red card, was it, or was it someone else there? Well, we couldn't even tell in the melee afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't quite see what eventuated. I think the Heidelberg coach had a few words to say and was trying to poke the bear, so to speak. But I don't know kind of what happened after that, and I'll sort of steer clear from that and let the what happens happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll look ahead to next Saturday afternoon. It's unusual to see St Albans playing a home game on a Saturday afternoon, but that's what's in the fixture, and you're up to Churchill Reserve. how are things looking going into that game? St Albans, like they're a team maybe down on their luck and down on confidence at the moment. Maybe a chance for you guys to get a win on the board in your third last game of the season.
Yeah, regardless of whether they're down on confidence or not, it's about us, and our confidence is high at the moment. And like I said earlier, the way we've been playing in the last sort of 6 weeks, I think we could, we've proven that we can match most teams and, can be competitive. And, had a really good patch there. We got a couple of wins in a row. But yeah, obviously St Albans, fighting for their life as we are. And I went to watch them today as well, just to obviously, cast my eye over them and, see what they've got. And they put up a good fight today. They showed a bit of endeavour today. And, as we know, it's a smaller pitch at St Albans. It's a fairly high-tempo game. There's not a lot of fluidity to it. There's not not much controlled possession, although they did sit back a little bit, coming up against Avondale. But yeah, they won a lot of first and second balls, and their fight was quite impressive today. And no doubt that they're going to try and bring that fight next week into the game. But but I've got all confidence in the world in our boys, especially after like I said, the recent block of games aside from the Dandy game, and a bit of an injection of youth and some new players. Done the trick I thought yesterday, and we'll go into this week's game full of confidence that we can get the 3 points, which is obviously vital for our survival.
Yeah, thanks to Mark Ivkovic. He makes a really interesting comment there in the comments section. St Albans are in big trouble. They've only picked up 3 points in their last 10 games. Whereas, Tom, you guys in the last 6 games, I think it's 2 wins, a draw, and 3 losses. And look, it's kind of been a bit of a patchy kind of a period, but at least you are collecting points and picking up points in that period. You went out there today. The loss of the red cards of Monek and Timmins, is that going to be a big blow for St Albans, or you think they've got enough players to cover those 2 players in their positions?
Look, it's always a blow when you lose 2 players, and especially Joey Monek, who provides a lot of pace down that wing, and he's got a lot of NPL experience, so he's definitely going to be a loss for them. And Shawnee has been playing as a centre back in recent times as well. They've sort of been shuffling their back four a little bit, but Timmins was quite good, I thought, today too. So he's obviously going to be a loss for them. But they've got young, so Zach Thomas, who played as a fullback, so I'd probably almost expect him to come into either a centre back role, or he might stay where he is. And Justin Mikulev came on, and I'll probably envisage him possibly playing as part of that back four next week as well. So they've got a bit of cover there, and no doubt, like I said, they're going to put a strong team on the pitch. They've still got the likes of Michael Gergic as well, who's their captain and sort of commands that back four as well, and not a bad midfield as well. So it's going to be a tough game. But anytime you lose a couple of players, it's obviously going to be a loss, and unsettles the squad. I suppose it just depends on how much it has an impact on their psyche and their mentality going into this week.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a really good insight on where St Albans are at and what they've been doing down to a T. Is there any thoughts about these clubs, you guys included in the lower places on the table, that, if there is the National Second Division kicking off next season, that the relegation won't actually take place this year? And is that something that people are talking about behind the scenes?
To be honest, we haven't mentioned that not once within the change room. So, I do know there's some whispers, but we want to survive on merit. And survive on merit, and you're sort of setting yourself up to fail, even in the long run and next year. If it was to be the case that we survive, but so we want to survive on merit. And the last time the club was in the top flight in 2017, they went straight back down again. So we want to create a bit of history and be that team that does stay up. I've sort of been using that as a bit of motivation for the boys. Always try and go into games with a bit of a theme to motivate the boys. And sometimes it works, sometimes it gives you a bigger lift than other weeks. But I'm big on motivation and trying to tap into the mental side of things, as well as the tactical and technical as well. But we want to survive on merit. We've already outscored the number of points that we achieved last time in the league, which is a good achievement in itself. But it doesn't mean anything if we go straight back down. So it's important for the club because of the youth that we've got. I've loaded something like 6 or 7 teenagers this year, which I don't think any other club can can vouch for. But you know, and we want to survive for the sake of those boys having something to strive towards, and you know, to be able to play in the top flight. And you know, and obviously myself, I've got my own ambition, and I want to be able to stay in the league and stay coaching at the top level. You know, and hopefully the club sees that as well. So we're all sort of fighting. It's bigger than just me and the players. It's for the club, but day we all want to be in the top flight, whether it's as a coach, as a staff member that's helping out, whether it's Chugs, the goalkeeper coach, and Mattia, who's helping out with our GPS tracking and our support staff and our play. We all want to be in the top flight, So it's hard to make it. It's even harder to stay in there, but. As you can see with NPL 2 at the moment, it's a pretty tough league to get out of. So we want to try and stay up here.
Is it ever?
Big time.
Yeah. Now, not trying to put the extra pressure. I think there's enough pressure. It's basically a grand final game. This against a sister club on Saturday. But after St Albans, you've got Oakley at home, which is a midweek game now on a Tuesday night because of Oakley's commitment in the Australia Cup, and then the final home game of the season against none other than South Melbourne. So 2 really, really tough games at home to finish it off. But out of the 4 games you have won so far, one of them is against St Albans. So you're going to Churchill Reserve. Do you think that win, although they did defeat you guys in the Australia Cup, but do you think that league win might give you that little bit of a psychological boost going into this must-win game against St Albans next Saturday?
I mean, for us, it's going to work in a positive way for us. How it works from their end, I'm not too sure. But there's always that thought from the previous game, and we definitely did that even yesterday with Heidelberg. We took out the positives out of the last time that we that we got a point off Heidelberg away, which was sort of unlucky not to get 3 then as well. So kind of history sort of repeated itself. So history often does repeat itself, but we need to go into the game full of confidence and not underestimate St Albans, because it's definitely going to be a scrap and it's definitely going to be a tough game. And they played some good football. I was pretty impressed with Yanni Panakos that played as a 10 today, had a couple of good little touches on the ball, and and Joey Chorno worked his bum off in the midfield today as well. So they've got some decent players. So but obviously we'll use that during the week and take confidence out of the fact that we got 3 points against them last time. So it proves that we can do it. But like I said, the last sort of 6-week block has been really positive. 1 game aside. So we'll take that whole 6-week block out of into this week's game, and we're not going to undersell the importance of it. But it's pretty obvious how important this game is. And at the end of the day, it's all about desire. It's how much the boys want it, and I've kind of got a bit of a theme that we've been going with the last couple of weeks. So as long as we kind of keep living out that theme and living out that little sort of team motto that we've been instilling recently, then we've got every chance of coming out on top.
Certainly looks like there's bright days ahead for North Geelong Warriors, win, lose or draw, because of that high rate of young players coming up through the ranks. But we'll have a look at round 24. Friday night, Oakley Cannons taking on Avondale. What a game that's going to be at Jack Edwards Reserve. It's the only Friday night game. Then we've got a series of Saturday games, all Saturday games. Moreland City at home to Heidelberg United. Bentley Greens at home to Port Melbourne Sharks. Very important games in the context of the relegation battle. Altona Magic taking on South Melbourne. That's going to be a good game at Paisley Park. Hume City at home to Melbourne Knights, also Saturday night. And then Dandenong Thunder taking on Green Gully. But the big one is at Churchill Reserve at 4 p.m. when St Albans Saints take on North Geelong Warriors. What a game that's going to be. Tom, we wish you all the best for that game. It's going to be a riveting clash, no doubt. A big crowd if we've got a good weather. But all the best for next week and for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me, and hopefully we'll be talking again at the end of the season.